Now, we have Hiromichi Shirakawa on the line. He is the chief economist at Credit Suisse Japan. He also used to work at the Bank of Japan. Shirakawa-san, good morning. What's your initial reaction to these Tankan figures?
Well, I think the manufacturers' business conditions there was, in line with expectations. So continuous improvement amid continuous improvement of the industrial production cycle. And we tend to believe that that should continue toward the end of the year. So I think the manufacturers of Japan will continue to see the improvement of their business conditions toward the end of the year. If you take a look at the capex, I think the plans by companies, for all companies down about 4%. As of the March survey, I tend to think this number is not so bad. And I tend to think that Japanese companies are now feeling a bit more compressed with the risk of the global demand slowdown. And they are now planning to slightly increase in capital expenditure. That is good news to us.
Now, of course, the Bank of Japan uses the Tankan survey to decide what it needs to do about policy. And we do have a two-day meeting next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. At the last meeting, they doubled the low-interest loans to banks. But now Tankan, the finance minister, has been saying they need to do more. Are we likely to see any more steps announced at the meeting next week?
Well, in our understanding, the BOJ will take a pause for some time, not adding to their easing maybe until late autumn when they start to discuss about the fiscal problems. So I think for the moment, I think the BOJ will take a wait and see, mainly because of the continuous improvement of the business conditions. And plus, if you take a look at the currency assumptions by companies for fiscal year 10. The company is now assuming 91. So right now, the currency market is slightly, more favorable than their assumption. Means the BOJ does not feel much stress to ease further the monetary policy right now. So for the moment, I think the pause.
Hey, Shirakawa-san, it's Susan here in Hong Kong. Let me just ask you about the recovery in Japan. Someone say it's still looking fairly weak. You had industrial production numbers this week showing a drop of 9.4%, which was actually worse than what economists had expected. The jobless rate holding at 4.4%. I mean, how do you see the strength right now in the Japanese economy? It still looks pretty feeble, doesn't it?
Yes, I think similar to what we saw in the previous recoveries, the economy has been picking up mainly because of the pickup in global demand, exports, and production. So very much the global demand red growth. But I tend to think that for the moment, Japanese economy may enjoy some improvement of the consumption. That is a very interesting story for us. I think the government has, poured, decent amount of money to support households. And I think the durable goods consumption is picking up right now. And I think, again, the government is paying the new child allowance starting in June. That should support consumption. But still, we tend to think that aging population, declining wages, and blah, blah, blah would, I think, impede any strong recovery of consumption. But we tend to think that this year's growth of Japan would be, maybe higher than 2%, well balanced between exports and consumption, maybe.
Yeah, and Shirakawa-san, I quickly want to get in this question about the yen. I mean, what flight it has taken, and weakening dramatically in the past week. Where do you see it headed at the end of this month?
Well, this is, I think, probably a bit of the seasonal factor. If you take a look at the Bank of Japan's money printing, toward the end of March, toward the end, yesterday, they printed money mainly because of the end of fiscal year factor. So I think the yen is a bit weakened too much in my sense. So probably from here stabilizing between 90 and 92, I would say.
Okay, Shirakawa-san, thank you so much for your time.